Alright, today I'm gonna go over one of the greatest movies of all time, Shutter Island. I know some people might disagree, but this is my opinion. This is quite possibly the second greatest movie of all time after Interstellar, and I've watched a lot of movies, so I know. And if you disagree, go and talk to the wall. Then let's get into it. So Martin Scorsese's Shutter Island is more than just a psychological thriller. It's a carefully crafted labyrinth of trauma, identity, and repression, disguised as a noir detective mystery. On the surface, it's about a US Marshal investigating the disappearance of a patient from a secluded mental institution. But peel back the layers and you uncover a chilling character study on guilt, denial, and the terrifying refuge of delusion. And right now I'm gonna give a quick spoiler warning. If you don't want any spoilers, just don't watch the video. Simple as that. Now let me go over the plot. The movie is set in 1954. It follows Teddy Daniels, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, a US Marshal dispatched to Ashcliffe Hospital for the criminally insane, which happens to be on Shutter Island. Alongside his new partner Chuck, who is played by Mark Ruffalo, he investigates the mysterious disappearance of a patient, Rachel Solando. But as the investigation progresses, Teddy begins to suspect a conspiracy involving unethical experimentation, mind control, and hidden government agendas. However, in a devastating twist, it's revealed that Teddy is actually Andrew Ladis, a patient at Ashcliffe who murdered his manic depressive wife after she drowned their 3 children. The entire investigation was a roleplay, a therapeutic experiment by Dr. Corley, who is played by Ben Kingsley, and Dr. Sheehan, which was also Chuck, played by Mark Ruffalo. They did all this to break Andrew from his delusional identity. Let's dive into the psychological construct of identity in the movie. The brilliance of the movie lies in its narrative structure, which operates entirely within the distorted lens of Andrew's psyche. Teddy Daniels is not merely an alias, he is a psychological construct, a vessel of denial. He was created to protect Andrew from the unbearable weight of his actions. Scorsese, using DiCaprio's intense performance, he lets us live inside the disintegrating mind of a man whose guilt manifests as noir tropes. The hard-boiled detective, the missing woman, the evil institution, these are familiar forms meant to comfort the viewer, but here they gradually corrupted as the facade crumbles. The film plays with subjective reality, from the opening fog-shrouded ferry to the dreamlike transitions and sudden scene shifts. Scorsese mimics the disorientation of a dissociative break. DiCaprio's character isn't uncovering a conspiracy, he's fighting for control of a narrative that is unraveling. Next we can talk about the cinematic language as psychological symbolism. Robert Richardson's cinematography and Thelma Schoonmaker's editing make excellent use of visual and temporal discontinuities. Scenes are cut abruptly, continuity errors abound, a water glass that becomes a bottle or vanishes entirely, and dialogue is often slightly off-killer. These aren't flaws, they're clues. For instance, water is a reoccurring motif. It's associated with trauma, from the storm, the crashing waves, to the water in which Andrew's children drowned. Fire, by contrast, is linked to illusion and denial, like when Andrew imagines a conversation with the hallucinated Solando in a blazing cave. These elemental oppositions, fire versus water, illusion versus truth, help scaffold the film's deeper message. The mind can fabricate entire worlds to avoid pain, but reality, like water, always seeps through. After that we can dive into the guilt and trauma, being represented as inescapable prisons. Perhaps the most tragic element of Shutter Island is its meditation on trauma and guilt. The island is both a literal and metaphorical prison. It isolates Andrew from the world, but also traps himself within. Every corridor, every face, every thunderclap echoes with his unresolved grief. Flashbacks and dreams are scattered through the film, revealing glimpses of Andrew's past, the liberation of Dachau, his children's lifeless bodies, his wife's empty eyes. These aren't just narrative devices, they represent the fragments of memory that Andrew cannot integrate. The final line of the movie:
which would be worse? To live as a monster, or to die as a good man?
Is not just ambiguous, it's a thematic mic drop. It suggests that Andrew may have achieved lucidity, but chooses to regress, preferring the oblivion of fantasy over the agony of reality. Then there's thematic parallels to Hitchcock and Kafka. Scorsese, who is a lifelong cinephile, draws heavy influence from Alfred Hitchcock, particularly Vertigo. Both films explore identity, obsession, and delusion, using unreliable protagonists to drag the viewer into their psychological maelstrom. Kafkaesque themes also pervade Shutter Island. Bureaucracy, paranoia, and existential dread permeate the institution. The notion that one might be trapped in a system they cannot comprehend or escape. even if that system is the mind. It is deeply Kafka-like. Lastly, we have the performances and Scorsese's direction. Leonardo DiCaprio's performance is raw, tortured, and deeply empathetic. He doesn't play Teddy as a hero, but as a man clinging to illusion like a life raft. Ben Kingsley and Mark Ruffalo subtly telegraph their dual roles, guides trying to steer Andrew towards the truth without shattering him. Scorsese, often associated with kinetic violence or urban crime stories, brings a slow burn, gothic atmosphere here. His direction is restrained, even cold, allowing the story to simmer and the horror to unfold, not through jump scares, but emotional revelation. Shutter Island is not a twist movie in the cheap sense. Its rewatch value doesn't hinge on surprise, but on reinterpretation. Once the truth is known, every scene becomes richer, every line of dialogue has double meaning, every cinematic choice is recontextualized. It's a story about the fragility of the human mind and the unbearable burden of trauma. It asks haunting questions about morality, sanity, and whether delusion is sometimes kinder than truth. Shutter Island may masquerade as a detective story, but in truth it's an elegy for a man who couldn't live with what he'd done, and for a mind that chose fantasy over forgiveness. Overall, for me, the movie was a 9 out of 10. It stands as one of Scorsese's most misunderstood masterpieces, a film that reveals not only the fallibility of memory, but the darkness we create to protect ourselves from it. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like and subscribe. Drop a comment on any movie I should do next, or even a show, and let me know your thoughts on Shutter Island if you have watched it. Also, go ahead and buy some merch from my shop, nafrashop.com. Links in the bio, and the Discord is down below, so join that too. See ya!